Good morning, students. So, welcome to our 8th class on Christopher Marlowe's play, The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus. So, we have already seen a lot of things happening in Dr. Faustus. So, I'm sure your interest in the play is quite high now. So what has happened so far? You know that a lot of things have happened. We'll come to it. So for today's class, we have Act 2 and Scene 1. We finished Act 1, which had 4 scenes. And now we are coming to Act 2 and the first scene in Act 2. Right. So what do we hope to learn through this class? We hope to learn a lot of things here. We are going to discuss the contract scene. You know, the main contract scene where Faustus is bargaining with Mephistopheles is what is going to happen in this scene. And also we are going to see the degeneration of Faustus, how Faustus has degenerated since the beginning of the play. We have witnessed how, you know, where in the beginning he had some doubts, some dilemmas, which is clearly getting cleared up, and he is now clearly moving towards the path of the devil. So that degeneration of Faustus is what we are also going to see through this scene. Right. So what do we hope to learn through this session? We hope to learn the importance of contract scene, how this is a very crucial scene for the development of the plot is what you're going to see through this scene. And we are also going to learn the Renaissance man's dilemma and the longing for heightened knowledge that you have been hearing from me about this from the beginning. Since the chorus and the beginning introductory classes, I've been telling you about the Renaissance man's dilemma, how the new, you know, human knowledge was developing, and how people were actually trying to focus more on human than on the divine, how the divine was questioned, which was unprecedented. So, and how there was this, you know, longing to know more, longing to know about the universe, about the world, which eventually people knew might also contradict the tenets of Christian belief, right? So these are the dilemmas which are again seen in this act, in this scene 1, act 2, scene 1 of act 2. So that is all this Renaissance man, the idea of the Renaissance man is what I also want you to you know, understand through our reading of this scene. Okay, so let's recapitulate quickly what happened. So you all know chorus came on stage first in the prologue and actually told us what is happening in Faustus's life. Prologue also hinted ki prologue also kind of foresaw and told us Faustus is, you know, embracing necromancy and the heavens will conspire his overthrow. Right? That's what the chorus told us. And next we met Faustus himself in a long soliloquy where he told us what is, you know, where he told us clearly that the available knowledge is not enough for him and he wants magic and he wants necromancy. Then we had some comical scenes where Wagner meets two scholars, where Wagner meets the clown. All this, you know, actually deflating the seriousness of the previous scenes. And then we also met Mephistopheles, the big character Mephistopheles, and how Faustus is, you know, trying to slowly conjure him, have some kind of ideas of hell from him, and how Faustus actually wants. Mephistopheles to carry his message, carry his, you know, ideas of his pact to Lucifer. He wants Mephistopheles to become a mediator between him and the Lord of the Hell, that is Lucifer. Right? So we've seen all these things in our previous classes. I put in a bullet here. So how Valdis and Cornelius help Faustus in learning the basics of necromancy, how Faustus conjures Mephistopheles and sends a proposal to Lucifer, that he's going to exchange his soul for 24 years of omnipotent power, right? So, and also the smaller scenes like the bargain scene between the Wagner and the clown, all these things we have seen already, right? So let's move on now. What happens in Act 2, Scene 1? So Act 2, Scene 1, So again, a soliloquy. Soliloquy, you should keep a track of what are the soliloquies. Soliloquies are largely focusing on what is happening in Faustus's mind. So here again, opening a soliloquy where Faustus is sharing his mind. You know, Faustus is telling us what is happening in his mind. Now, there is slight doubt that Faustus has, slight, small iota of doubt, but I'm sure he's going to actually come out of that doubt and then embrace the devil with wholeheartedly, right? And he's going to embrace the hell wholeheartedly. Now, Faustus is, troubled by the choices he has made. So, Faustus has already decided that he has already, remember, sent the deed, the pact through Mephistopheles to Lucifer. So now he is slightly small way thinking. He says, I'll just read you that line. He says, despair in God and trust in Beelzebub. Now go not backward, no, Faustus, be resolute. Why waver thou? These lines are important. You know, Faustus is telling himself, don't go backward, Faustus, be resolute, be strong, and do not waver, is what Faustus is telling himself. And he's telling it aloud. So remember, soliloquy is a technique where the audience can hear what is happening in his mind, what Faustus is talking to himself, right? That is what we know. And Faustus is trying to convince himself that God does not love him, and whatever God can give him, the Mephistopheles or Beelzebub can as well give him, is what Faustus is trying to reason out. So at the same time, when he's in dilemma, when he's slightly in dilemma, you can see that when this dilemma element of small doubt is there, these two forces come on stage. That is good angel and the bad angel. So only when there is some scope to change him, these two forces appear. So these good angel and bad angel, we can say, are nothing but the figments of Faustus's mind itself. Right? It's possibly something that is happening in the Faustus's mind that gets personified in the form of good angel and bad angel. Right? So they appear and they argue for and against Faustus's repentance. So good angel, I'll just read those lines for you. Good angel tells sweet Faustus, leave that execrable art. Right? That is what good angel calls magic, execrable art. Faustus says, contrition, prayer, repentance, what of them? So this is the Christian path, right? Contrition, prayer, and repentance. So Faustus is asking, what are they? Good angel says, they are the means to bring you unto heaven. It is through repentance, prayer, and contrition that you're going to reach heaven, is what good angel tells him. But evil angel suddenly intervenes and tells, rather illusions, fruits of lunacy. Their illusion, their talks of a madman, is what evil angel says. So that make men foolish that do not trust them, that do trust them most. So good angel tells sweet Faustus, think of heaven and heavenly things. Good angel is one final time trying to tell, please think of heaven. Evil angel says, no, Faustus, think of honor and of wealth. So evil angel is trying to tell Faustus that think of only honor and of wealth, what you're going to achieve, the name you're going to get, and the wealth you're going to accumulate, is what evil angel tells, right? So they go, obviously Faustus then again decides, in favor of the evil angel. Now enters our big figure, Mephistopheles. So Mephistopheles has come on stage. So good angel asserts. So what happened? So that is what we've seen. And then now the devil, Lucifer, and the Mephistopheles returns with the news that Lucifer has agreed to Faustus's proposal. So that is the major news Faustus is waiting for. So he is waiting for the news from Lucifer that Mephistopheles is going to bring him. So Mephistopheles says Lucifer has agreed to take Faustus' soul in exchange for 24 years of servitude of Mephistopheles. Right? That is what he said. He has come back, but there is one condition that Lucifer has sent. What is the condition? But Faustus, thou must bequeath it solemnly and write a deed of gift with thine own blood. Faustus, it seems, Lucifer has sent a message. Faustus has to sign the deed with his own blood. So something that is written in blood, something that is sealed in blood is not going to be changed in any way. At any point, it cannot be changed. So Lucifer wants the pact to be sealed in Faustus's blood. Okay, so that is what Lucifer has sent the message, and Faustus is in between asking, "Why have you come to my soul, Mephistopheles says, to enlarge his kingdom?" So whose kingdom? Lucifer's kingdom has to enlarge, and that is why Mephistopheles has come to fetch the soul of Faustus. So the discussion goes, as usual, whenever Faustus meets Mephistopheles, he starts asking about the nature of hell. How is hell and all that? Mephistopheles gives answers as usual, roundabout answers, not very straight answers, tells this, tells that, somehow finally distracts Faustus from the actual reality of the hell, right? So now Faustus proceeds to write the contract in blood, but two things happen at that time. You have to remember, two things happen when Faustus tries to start writing. That is, first, Faustus's blood congeals. It becomes hard, so he's not able to write. That is the first thing. And second, on Faustus's hand, some letters come on Faustus's hand, and that is, something like, I'll just tell you. So one is his blood congeals, and then homofuge. Okay, homofuge means, oh man, flee, oh man, run away. So these letters appear on Faustus's hand. So these two things happen when Faustus tries to sign the deed, and that are, we know, these are some kind of ominous indications, like, they are trying to tell something to Faustus. They are ominous, but Faustus, although he can guess something wrong is happening, but he just goes ahead and signs the pact. Okay, so Mephistopheles has a way of distracting Faustus. Now, Mephistopheles brings on the stage, imagine all these scenes on the stage. Mephistopheles brings a host of devils on the stage who appear before Faustus. They are wearing rich apparel, they are very gaudily dressed, and they dance and then they depart. These scenes that Mephistopheles is showing Faustus, is displaying before Faustus, is actually making Faustus resolute, again and again thinking, yes, this is what he wants, right? So suddenly Faustus is distracted and he moves away from heaven and hell discussion, and now he asks for a wife. He says, I need a wife, is what Faustus says, right? But for Mephistopheles suddenly says, no, 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 no. You can have any number of women that you want, that is as paramours, as prostitutes, but not a wife, because wife is always solemnized through a religion, through God, and that is why Mephistopheles actually cannot fetch a wife to Faustus, right? So that happens, and then Faustus asks for a marriage. There's this very famous sentence that Mephistopheles is telling, marriage is but a ceremonial toy. So he says it's only a ceremonial toy. It's only to play with, it doesn't have any importance, is what Mephistopheles is trying to convince Faustus. So finally, Faustus now shifts and asks something else from Mephistopheles. That is, he asks, he first asks, he asks three types of books from Mephistopheles. He says, book of spells and incantations, that I might rise up spirits when I please. So he wants to first conjure the spirits, and for that he asks the book of spells and incantations. Secondly, Faustus asks a book which has, which gives him idea which is gives him knowledge about the planets of the heavens. So basically, he wants to know about the universe. So Faustus wants to know about what is there, in the heaven above, up above, what is there. He wants to know. Thirdly, Faustus asks for a book on plants and herbs and trees that grow upon the earth. So, all these three requests that the demands of Faustus are, are reflective of the Renaissance man's longing for a higher knowledge, right? So he wants to study spells, he wants incantations, he wants to know about astrology, astronomy, and he also wants all knowledge about the natural sciences. So this is very quintessential of a Renaissance man. And obviously Mephistopheles can fetch all these things. He says, okay, I'm going to fetch you all these things. So finally, with this arrangement, Faustus has signed a deed of gift of body and of soul. Mephistopheles tells us at some point that Lucifer wants, I'll quote, a deed of gift of body and of soul. That is what Lucifer has sent Mephistopheles to ask Faustus, and Faustus finally agrees to sell his soul, body and soul both. Okay, so that is what we have learned through this scene. So let us again briefly see what happened. Faustus is troubled by the choices he has made initially. His initial impulse to turn back to God is overshadowed by despair, and the arguments of the good and evil angels we saw, and Faustus prefers to exchange spiritual gifts to earthly honor and wealth. Right? So he doesn't want spiritual gifts, but he wants earthly honor and wealth. Right? And Faustus engages Mephistopheles in a round of questions. Okay? So that is what we learned. So we know that this scene is structurally very, very important because it is as the chief act of signing the pact of the with the devil is executed here, right? The main pact of signing the deed with his own blood is executed in this scene, and the dilemma of Faustus's mind is externalized here through the appearance of good and bad angels. I told you they are personification of Faustus's mind itself, right? So, albeit resulting, but what results ultimately is Faustus embracing the path of the devil. Further, Faustus's blindness and stupidity is also evident here, right? There are evident signs, ominous signs that are happening when he wants to sign, but Faustus does not want to take it seriously, right? Portentous signs are made available, like his blood congeals, and there is this sign of a man run away on his hand, but he does not take them seriously. His body rebels against the pact, but it is overlooked by Faustus. So the gradual degradation of Faustus's logical reasoning is what we see here, right? And the pursuit of knowledge and his, initial inclination to pursue knowledge is also slowly going. You see, where he asks for a wife, so he says his self is getting lascivious. He's getting lascivious thoughts, so he wants a wife. So he's moving towards more of pleasure than of knowledge now, right? So he is easily enticed by the materialistic grandeurs that are displayed by Mephistopheles and his troop of spirits, devils. Right. So Faustus here is also a quintessential Renaissance man, and he is longing for an omnipotent knowledge of the universe. So in the process, he reaches intellectual abyss. Right? It is an intellectual abyss which sadly does not have a point of return. Does not have a point of return, like one of the scholars in the earlier scene, you remember, he said, I'm scared Faustus doesn't have a way back. That is what is happening, and that is what we see in this contract scene. Okay, hope you understood it, and we'll move to scene 2 in the next class. Meanwhile, you have some MCQs here through which you can test your own understanding of this scene. So we'll stop here. Okay, see you in the next class. See you.